Well, welcome to Schenectady Today in and around the Capital Region, and we have a special treat for you today. We've got some great guests coming on. We are going to have a band. We've got the Derek Horton and the J Street Band joining us today, and then we're going to be having a conversation with a woman who runs a business that it's a phenomenal business, and we're going to be talking about it. It has to do with diversity and inclusion. And then we're going to hear from the Forgettable Four. They're with the Electric City Chorus, and they're going to be talking about their singing Valentines. Valentine's Day is coming up. Think about this one for a big treat for the person you care about. Could be anybody, actually. And then we're going to be hearing from Sikkim. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary. Can you believe that? Schenectady Inner City Ministry. We're going to find out about their big gala coming up, and then we're going to be going ahead and bringing the band back on to talk about that. I want to just tell you quickly, a while back, Greg Millett did a show on the last man standing. It had to be the last person that was still living that was in the Byrd's third Antarctica expedition. And this morning, by chance, I happened to pick up on TCM the film The Secret Land, which was about the third expedition. So we thought for today, as a treat for our breaks, we're going to be showing you some of that film about the third expedition. There was a gentleman that lived at Ingersoll who was the last man standing. So that's your treat for today as well. But we're going to hear from Derek Horton and the J Street Band. Doc is going to be singing There Ain't No Sunshine? Absolutely. Oh, you're bringing the sunshine here, honey.
Thank you.
Okay, good. We'll let you take it away.
Away. I know, 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 I know. Oh, I'm gonna leave the young thing alone, 'cause ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, oh Lord, only darkness every day. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, she's always gone too long. anytime she goes away. Wonder this time where she's gone. Wonder if she's going to stay. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and this house just ain't no home anytime she goes away. I know, 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 I know. Oh, I'm gonna leave a young thing alone, 'cause ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Oh Lord, oh sunshine when she's gone. Oh Lord, no, when she's gone. Oh Lord, ain't no sunshine when she's gone. No sunshine. Oh no, when she's gone. No. Thank you. Thank you.
You know, you got to admit, this guy is a professor. Can you imagine taking his class? I know. You're telling him, huh?
I try to keep him awake.
Tell us about your band. You got a really great hot band today.
Thank you.
You're great on keyboards and drums and
on keyboards we have Professor, and he's a phenomenal musical scholar, composer, and in fact he's also the music director for my company.
Oh, great. Well, thank you. Really, first time I met you. Great. What's his name?
Well, his real name is John Crandall, but ever since his dad called him Professor, everybody calls him Professor.
Okay. We call him Doc. We can call you Prof.
That's his Doc and the Professor.
Okay.
And this is Chris Duffy.
Hey, Chris.
Chris is the original bass player. I started with my band, and he's the first artist signed to my company.
Oh, my gosh. Great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I love it.
And
the band, he does sound too over there,
yes.
right?
On drums, we have Mr. Randall Martin. He's a good friend, and he's sitting in for our usual drummer, Phil
Auclair, yeah.
Yeah, but he's a phenomenal guy, TV producer, music producer, all around producer and musical scholar.
What talent you brought together. I'd have you sing another song, but I'm afraid we're going to have you come back again and give you that big shot at the end.
Sure.
Is that okay?
That is wonderful.
Where's your gigs coming up?
Oh, actually, tonight we're playing at Club Helsinki in Hudson.
Helsinki.
Yes,
yeah,
Club
okay.
Helsinki Hudson.
I didn't think you were going to another country.
Oh, well, hey, if the gig demands it, we'll go.
You'll go, right? And I know that you play at other places too. You just came off of a big fundraiser.
We just had a great benefit show at Page Hall at SUNY Albany for Puerto Rico. Yes,
yeah.
Phenomenal show. We had a wonderful time. Raised a lot of money for Puerto Rico.
Yeah, that's great. So where else can I see you?
Well, I tell you what, we're going to the studio, and so we're going to put together our first EP. Oh yes, our next big concert.
And you heard it here.
That's right. Our next big concert will be March 31st.
Okay, and where's that going to be?
That's going to be at the Albany Barn.
Okay.
And we're raising money for the American Cancer Society.
The Albany Barn is a great area, a great place, performing arts.
It's a wonderful facility.
Yeah. I was telling somebody that you played at the Albany Barn, and they said, "Oh, they do country music." And I go, no, this is just the name of a place. But I'll bet you could do country music.
Oh, we could do a little Kenny Rogers for you.
Yeah, anything you want.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to come back again. What are you going to play? Because we're going to have you play a couple songs.
Oh, we're going to do Just My Imagination.
Okay.
We're going to do I'll Be There.
Okay.
And we're going to do Easy.
There you have it. So stay tuned. Get your coffee ready, and you're going to be hearing them again. And Derek Horton and the J Street Band. What great guys. Prof, we got Chris and John. Yeah, right, got it. Right. Thanks. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to go up to Antarctica. Oh my gosh. cold. But anyway, when we come back, we're going to be talking with a lady that you will find a phenomenal interview. Stay tuned.
Olszewski with a name like that, but it proved not only difficult, but it proved impossible. So I thought, well, what's going on here? So I researched and researched, couldn't find a trace of this guy. And I ran a few leads that I thought might be useful, but nothing. And so about to despair, I Googled Olszewski and Navy, and what came up was a 1943 newspaper clipping from the Schenectady Gazette telling about Anthony W. Olszewski and then Wayne in brackets coming home to visit his parents in 1943. And I thought, I changed his name, which is why I couldn't find him. So with renewed vigor, I started to research Anthony Wayne. So I went straight to the Social Security Death Index, of course, and to find out when he died, but nothing. So I ran up against a brick wall again, and I thought, this is ridiculous. And so I went to find a person, put in Anthony W. Wayne, Schenectady, and sure enough, there he was. And I thought, well, that doesn't mean to say he's alive, but I went to the phone book for Schenectady, and there he was with a phone number. So I called. Someone answered the phone, and I said, hi. I said, I'm John Stewart. I said, I'm looking for Anthony W. Olszewski, who was with Admiral Byrd in the Antarctic in 1939 on the Bear.
Okay, what a lovely photo. Oh my gosh, you look so nice there. Sujata Chaudhry is here. She's the founder and the CEO of Tangible Development. They also go by the name of Diversity and Inclusion Consulting. I heard her speak at a women's forum, and I was so impressed with her. Her story is amazing, and tell us a little bit about how you came to this country and how you started a global business.
Sure, I'd be happy to. First of all, thank you for having me.
And thank you for coming.
I appreciate it. And so anyhow, I was born in Bombay, India. We left India when I was 6 months old, and we moved to England at that time. And it was quite a challenge, you know. So growing up in a very traditional family, my parents spoke very little English, if any at all.
And their language was?
It's Gujarati.
Okay.
It's Gujarati.
It's
which
one
is
of the
Indian languages, dialects in the country. There are 26 in the country. So anyhow, we ended up going to England, where my parents wanted to kind of give us a new opportunity, because my parents had grown up in a great deal of poverty.
So you came from poverty to begin with?
To begin with. And so we moved to England, and that's where my father kind of and my mother together were able to kind of start developing a new life. And my father is a civil structural engineer, one of the only ones in his family that went to college. And that's because somebody actually saw potential in him and funded him. And became his mentor.
So he had a profession when he went to England?
He did, but
probably wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy because he wasn't speaking English as well. You know, even though you go to college in India, they teach you English. It's like learning Spanish in high school, right? I mean, how fluent are you?
Yeah,
really,
you're not. Yeah.
Right? You know words and you know phrases.
Well, even the Chinese that learn English, they can read it and they can write it, but they don't speak it well because the teachers are not natives.
Yeah. And you know, it's almost like baptism by fire. It's like anything else, right? You have to submerge yourself in that culture and that language to really be able to embrace it and become fluid in it, right? And so that's kind of how the trajectory was. He kind of made a mark for himself with his talent, because he certainly didn't know the culture, the language, the country.
But you were growing up in England, so you were learning the language.
I was learning the language. I actually learned it just by immersion, going to school, because we spoke
Best way to learn.
Because we spoke Gujarati at home. That's all we knew. And
so you were learning both languages
at the same time, because when we would leave the house, then we were speaking English, and that's kind of how we picked it up.
Yeah.
And then we moved to the States, and I remember coming here, and I remember being teased, just ridiculous teasing for having such a heavy Cockney.
You had a Cockney
English accent. And I don't know if any of you've seen My Fair Lady, but you know, certainly
we're Liza Doolittle here.
Yes, we were in the theater, so I was a little bit of a Liza Doolittle. But at that time, you know, diversity, inclusion weren't even a conversation. Culture, competency, bringing people together. And we were so focused on our differences and not how we can bring our communities together that I was being teased. And I remember standing in front of the mirror when I was a little girl practicing how not to have it. And now I kind of regret it. I'd love to be an adult with an accent, right? What a wonderful thing to do.
What a treat that would be.
But you know, it's I'm very fortunate because I speak quite a few languages, Indian languages and dialects. And but the funny thing is, I can't read or write them. I can just speak them.
Well, see, I mean, that's what happens.
It's because it's that submersion thing, right?
Yeah.
And immersing yourself in the culture and really getting to know it.
And it isn't, you don't use the alphabet, so to speak.
No,
it's a different...
It's a totally different language.
They're not glyphs.
Letters.
They're,
no,
it's a different...
It's a totally different script, totally different.
Sort of like shorthand.
Shorthand, more than. It's more like scribble when you look at it, but all the same.
So you came to this country, and you were female in an Indian family.
Very traditional Indian
which
family.
is traditional, and they kind of had a path for you. You were going to get married, and you were going to raise kids, and you were going to just stay at home and rock the cradle.
Rock the cradle, that's right. And, you know, and in their defense, I have to say, my parents left, like I said, India in 1960. My father left in 65. My mother and the kids, we all left in 66, right? So in their defense, they left India and they were scared. They were scared. They had no family here. They didn't know anyone. You know,
I just can't even imagine.
You're uprooting, and my parents were sending money back home for their siblings and their parents. So really, it was just survival. It was a survival mode, and bringing the family and bringing them out of poverty and giving them the opportunity. So really, their focus was really about that, right? And so we came here. And we were in a very traditional, and they left India in 66, so India was still the way it was in 66. So even if it hadn't changed for them, even though it was progressing and it was changing and morphing. In their mind, it was still the India they left in 66, and they still see it that way, right? And so
and you're not going to change it.
No, and nor should we, because you know what? It's their pride in their heritage, but it's their appreciation for the opportunities they were given here. So, you know, they came here and they were scared, and so they were living that life. So they were teaching us to be that too. Although I have to say, my father, knowing what it took to become, earn a bachelor's degree, knowing what it felt like to be in that poverty-ridden situation, he wanted to give us the opportunity, if he could, to be and achieve more. And so he was always like, my girls are going to college.
This is education was important.
Education was important because, you know, when and this is true for a lot of people of diverse backgrounds or ethnic backgrounds, or, you know, coming from different countries, is that really you arm yourself with like a college degree because you don't know the culture, you don't know the language, you don't know
and you can always carry that education with you.
With you, right? And so it's kind of, it opens the door for opportunities, but it's certainly, then you have to take it and run with it, right? Like anybody else.
So this journey, coming through your background and seeing how you were teased, you know, and all of this kind of made you think more about diversity and inclusion.
It did, you know, and it's always something that's in the back of your mind when growing up, being an adult, as you morph into whatever you're morphing into in your career path, right? But for me, what happened was then I started with a company, and it was called AMP at the time. It's a connector company in Central Pennsylvania, which is where kind of, and I grew up in Central Pennsylvania, and it was really, I was the only Indian ethnic person in that entire town. I mean, I grew up in rural farm country America, and so for them, you know,
you were like,
I was like an enigma, you know, and also my maiden name was Naria Wallace, so it was really super long, 10 letters, and you know, I remember saying, oh hi, I'm Sujata, and they'd call me Sue. And I was like, I was too scared to say no.
No, my name is Sujata.
You know, and so I went along with it. Also because I was feeling like I wanted to belong.
You wanted to inclusion.
Inclusion.
You wanted that inclusion.
I wanted that inclusion, but I didn't realize inclusion meant
giving up.
I didn't realize what inclusion means until I thought I had to change myself versus be accepted. And so that's kind of how it started coming into my mind. And then I started with this company. It was an engineering firm. I was the only female, ethnic female salesperson out of 400 salespeople, right? And I realized, geez, what's going on here, you know? I mean, here
why
I am.
aren't there more, number one?
Yes, why aren't there more? And also the demographics and the topography of our country from a diversity standpoint is constantly changing.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And it's changing. I mean, America now is a different America than it was in 1966. And we need to change with it, or we're going to become extinct. I mean, as companies, as organizations, as communities change. And as that started happening, I thought, you know, I have my bachelor's in marketing and statistics, I have my master's in education in the corporate side of things, and all my experiences, I thought, what better way than to bring communities and the companies and worlds together, workforces.
How difficult was it to get that message to companies? I mean, I'm sure they employed people from diverse backgrounds and then had difficulty maybe keeping them because they didn't understand. How difficult was it for you to knock on that door and say, you know, I can help you?
You know, the difficulty comes from, and here's the thing, right? People talk about diversity all the time, but they don't talk about inclusion.
That's why you use the two together.
Because diversity is wonderful. You can get a group of really wonderful talent together, but don't create silos. Then what do you do with that? How do you bring them all together so that they can work together? And I think what happens is that lots of organizations, diversity, and then it turns into a social movement versus how do we work together to become productive, innovative, and profitable as companies, as organizations, so that we can hire more people, so we can create more jobs, and we can work together. And so I think that it was difficult in the beginning only because it's new. And when you're uncomfortable, it's scary. And change is scary. And I think
change is always scary.
It's very scary.
It's amazing. Right? To me, I've always been like, go with the flow and let's just keep moving. But I see people that are like, and someone used the phrase stuck undone. Right. You know, they just are stuck undone. You can't get them out of that.
Right. And so I call myself an inclusion catalyst, which is really, you know, a change agent to bring diverse people together in organizations. And I have clients that are nonprofit, I have clients that are for-profit in different industries. And it's really just creating that message that acceptance, respectful workplace, innovative, different ideas. You know, the data shows it.
Embracing
and it's embracing it. And the data and studies show it. So why wouldn't you buy onto it? But again, to answer your question directly, how difficult was it? It was. It was in the sense that they were scared, but not that they weren't willing. Right? Organizations are willing. They just didn't know how. Because sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
And not only that, but you run into, and I know I've been to China, and kind of we got a little primer on, you know, on certain things you don't do and things you do. And I would imagine that that's something that you kind of would focus on if you get, you don't, I mean, in China, if you hand somebody something, it has to be with two hands.
Right.
They have certain things. And you learn those things before you go so that you're not being offensive in what you do. And you don't even know you're being offensive. It's just like, this is what I do at home.
Right.
You know, I get, you know, and I might, in fact, you know, touch a male when they go, oh, women don't do that.
Right. Right.
And I wouldn't even think of it. I mean, if you were here earlier, I'm giving everybody hugs. You know, it's no big deal. It's just really great to have that feeling.
Right.
But I could be very offensive.
Yes, we could. And we all know that. We all have different behaviors and different patterns and different people, different diverse backgrounds, all have certain cultural rules that are part of their communities. And I'm not just talking about ethnicity, I'm talking about any community. And when I talk about diversity, I'm talking about veterans and LGBTQ communities. And I'm talking about people with diverse abilities and different genders and different identities and you know, how you orient and sexual identity and all those things. So every community has its own subculture, right?
Exactly.
And it's important for us to really respect it, or at least take the time to learn about it. And you know, we're all human. We're going to make mistakes.
There's
but, you know,
always a common thread, isn't
But you know
there?
what's amazing about us as Americans? We have an amazing ability for forgiveness. Unlike any other community, culture, country, we have an amazing ability for forgiveness. And so I say, you know, you have to be uncomfortable to be comfortable, right? It's like riding a bike. When you get on it for the first time, you're scared,
Yeah.
right? You're scared, and then you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you learn what to
And
do,
it
and
comes
you learn your
natural.
center of gravity, and it comes natural. And it's the same thing with being part of a workforce that's so diverse now.
Yeah, and we have to get workforces that work together, and they're not like biting at each other for some minor things sometimes. To me, it's just like we seem that sometimes when we meet new people, and I kind of want to learn about them, but I see some people go, oh, they're different. And it's like, no, they're different. They have kids. They love their kids. They go to market. They cook. And, I mean, they do a lot of the same things you do.
Right.
So find that commonality.
Yes. And it's so funny because, you know, difference is actually a gift.
Yeah.
You know, if we put...
We learn.
We learn. So, you know, and that's what we work on with corporations also, is that difference is wonderful. If we put the same thoughts around a table, how are we going to create something new? We're all going to start thinking alike and doing the same thing and coloring with the color blue, right? So if you have a box of crayons and everybody picks blue, that's a pretty plain, boring picture. And so I say to you, here's a box of crayons. Everybody's a different color. Now let's create an art, a piece of art that's just amazing. That leads to innovation, that leads to productivity, that leads to all kinds of things that we can do. And you know, the other thing is also, you know, when I work with organizations, it's like we want to serve communities, or we want to reflect the communities that we work in, right? You can't expect your organization to be inclusive unless you reflect the population we're in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
and I think that that's where all of this, some of it's going to happen organically. It's just going to happen organically because our world is changing. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, data shows that by 2050, 2065, right around there, Caucasians will be the majority minority, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to happen organically, whether
you
we
want it or
not, right? So that's why I always say, you know, diversity is the new Darwinism, right? It's like if you don't jump on that bandwagon, folks, you're going to become extinct as organizations, as communities, right? And I always say inclusion is the new normal. It's the new normal. You've got to be inclusive. It's got to become part of your DNA.
Well, I wish we could talk for another 2 hours because I just love to listen to her.
Well,
she has a
thank you.
fascinating story to tell about her marriage and all of interesting, but we're not going to go there today. But I do. And how would somebody get in touch with you? I mean, you have a website.
Yeah, so we're Tangible Development. We're a diversity inclusion training company. www.tangibledevelopment.com.
And we have that up there, yeah.
Yeah, and then if you Google us, we have a phone number. It's a toll-free phone number that you can reach us on, and somebody will get in touch with you, or you could just email me directly.
And maybe you know a company that's kind of struggling a little bit because they just don't quite get it, but sometimes you'll get them on the right path, is right. No, not sometimes, always.
Always.
Always
Yes,
on the right
always
path.
get them on the right path.
Exactly. Good. It's been such a delight to interview
thank
you,
you
and
so
you have
much.
so much to offer,
you.
so much wisdom. I
Thank
should
you.
use that word, wisdom.
you. Thank
because
you.
sometimes we forget. We just go about our business and kind of forget that we are part of this change, and we can make it happen, and we can make it happen either good or bad.
Exactly.
We have that power.
Exactly.
So let's kind of go with the good.
Exactly.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you so much.
So thanks for coming.
All right, have a great
We're going
morning.
to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to hear from the Forgettable Four. Stay tuned.
Man.
I was born in Schenectady, New York on June 12th, 1915. I grew up in Schenectady. We lived here. I went to Van Antwerp Junior High School. My family was a military family. My father was in the First World War as a cavalry horseman. He was a swordsman. My older brother joined the Navy in 1928. He served 4 years. Well, when I joined the Navy, I was pretty athletic. Then I boxed and wrestled. I won the championship of Cruisers Division 4. And Charles Atlas found out about me, so he asked me to pose for him. That's how I got in the comic books. He used my physical being, God, for many years until he died. I never asked for a cent. Never asked for nothing. God gave me what he gave me, and I shared it with everybody. I met my wife in New York City. I believe I was...
And you're hearing the Tony Wayne story on that, on our breaks, which is a fascinating story, by the way. But anyway, today we are going to learn about singing Valentines. And these are the guys that can do it. And you are with the Electric City Chorus. Who wants to talk first? Oh, I guess like you're doing it first. Okay. Okay. Go ahead. Tell us about the organization.
Yeah, we are from the Electric City Chorus.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Dave Ivanell, I sing tenor.
I'm Scott Rigney, I sing lead.
I'm Don Coutinho, I sing bass. Chuck Ferrone, I sing baritone.
Okay, I can tell, yeah.
And I'm a poet. Hear that? Ferrone,
We are just one of at least 4 quartets that will be going out into the community this Valentine's weekend. Actually, it's the Tuesday and Wednesday Valentine's
Yeah, right.
week. And we're presenting a unique gift opportunity to the citizens of the Capital District, where we go to wherever your loved one may be, whether it's in their home, school.
Could be a nursing home, right?
Could be any nursing home. We've been there many times. And we present a flower from a beautiful long stem rose from Feldhausen, donated by Feldhausen Florist, a box of candy, a card, and 2 beautiful love songs. Very special, unique, memorable gift opportunity. I
was the recipient of one of those, and it was startling, but it was so, I was just thrilled. Yeah.
I just want to thank you for having us on. This is our 3rd year in a row.
I know, I love having you guys here.
So gracious to have us and have supported us over the years.
Yeah.
I want to thank you.
So what are you going to sing?
In the Still of the Night.
In the Still of the Night. Oh, yes, that's a good one.
Dum 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 doo.
Shoo doo, shoo be doo ba da doo. Shoo doo, shoo be doo ba da doo. Shoo doo, shoo be doo ba da doo. Shoo doo, shoo. In the still of the night, I held you tight, for I love you so. Promise I'll never let you go. In the still of the night, in the still of the night, I remember that night in May. The stars were bright up above. I hope and I pray to keep your precious love. So before the light, hold me again with all of your might. Still of the night, in the still of the night. Shoo up, 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 whoa, shoo up, 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 shoo up. So before the light, hold me again with all of your might. In the still of the night, in the still the still of the night. In the still of the night.
Woo! That was great. That was great. And we did some nice camera work on you guys. Yeah, I'm all tangled up here. I don't know. But anyway, you're going to sing another one while I get untangled?
Yeah,
Go ahead. I'm going to back off because my feet are all hooked up here.
There's a calm surrender to the rush of day, when the heat of the rolling world can't be turned away. An enchanted moment, and it sees me through. It's enough for this restless warrior just to be with you. And can you feel the love tonight, tonight? It is where we are. It's enough for this wide-eyed wanderer that we got this far, And can you feel the love tonight, tonight? How it's laid to rest. It's enough to make kings and vagabonds believe the very best. There's a time for everyone if they only learn that the twisting kaleidoscope moves us all in turn. There's a rhyme and reason to the wild outdoors when the heart of this star-crossed voyager beats in time with yours. And can you feel the love tonight, tonight? It is where we are. It's enough for this wide-eyed wanderer that we got this far, And can you feel the love tonight, tonight? How it's laid to rest. It's enough to make kings and vagabonds believe the very best. It's enough to make kings and vagabonds believe the very
I don't think I've ever heard a better rendition of the Lion King song.
Thank you.
No, I mean, it was beautiful. I would love
Thank
someone
you.
to sing that to me. Oh, wait, you just did. No, it was wonderful. So one more time, where can they get a hold of you? How can they order this? Order this for your loved one.
The website is ecc.org, and I think the phone number is going to come hopefully on the screen.
Okay.
And can order for either Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay, and this is a fundraiser for the Electric City Chorus.
And it's part of the proceeds go to our Schenectady partner, Habitat for Humanity, and we send youth to our Youth Harmony Camp.
How
in the
wonderful.
summer.
You guys are so great. I love having you on every year. I mean, you can come more often, of course, but for Valentine's Day, it's always good to see Chuck and Dave and Scott. Right. So it's so delightful, and I hope that you do support the Electric City Chorus. Maybe you want to be part of it. Call them and join the group, but anyway, you'd love to have people join you. And order this. It's not very expensive. What, $50? It's for the whole package. That you come to their house, you come to their school, you come to wherever it is.
Workplace.
workplace,
Gymnasium.
anywhere. And if you have your favorite teacher, wouldn't that be a sweet thing to do? Yeah, they'd be surprised, wouldn't they? In the middle of a class. Oh my God. But anyways, those professors out there know all about that. So thank you all for being here. And when we come back, we're going to be talking with Sikkim and their 50th anniversary. Find out what they're doing for their gala and how you can join in at the Glenn Sanders. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
Shore in Manhattan, and my wife was with two other girls that she grew up with. I guess they were sightseeing or getting ready to go home. It was already in the evening. So, I don't know, I just looked at her and I smiled and she smiled back, and after that I kept in touch. I spent about 6 years in the Navy. At the time, Admiral Byrd was selecting his crew for the expedition. And Admiral Byrd was picking men that were accustomed to the cold weather. Like I was in upper New York State, and I was accustomed to the cold weather here. I was a seaman first class, seaman first class in the Seaman Division. That's to take care of all the upper decks and ladders and masts and sailing vessel ships. The Bear was a 100-year-old vessel that Admiral Byrd found in the Alaskan waters up in the Aleutian Islands.
Okay, that was Tony Wayne. Unfortunately, he did pass away, so this is a kind of a tribute to him. But we're going to be talking about Sikkim. It's 50 years. Can you believe that?
It's amazing.
Wonderful.
It's amazing.
So what are you doing? Shirley Rendine and Lori Bachelador here, and we're going to be talking about this wonderful event that's coming up.
Gala.
It's a party.
It's exciting. It's really
Party on.
exciting.
It is
Party
exciting.
on.
It really is exciting.
Yeah.
We're going to be at the Glenn Sanders Mansion on March 20th, first day of spring. No snow on this
is there
event.
going to be a spring this year?
Oh,
I'm just checking.
of course.
Just
There
checking.
has to be
No
March
snow.
20th.
No snow. No snow that day.
We're going to spring into the next 50
Right,
years.
right,
How's that sound?
right.
That sounds good. I like that.
And we've got some great events planned. It's going to be a big event at the Glenn Sanders with a wonderful meal, and we got a jazz quartet coming in.
Who's the jazz quartet?
They're from the
Reformed Church.
Reformed
Oh,
Church,
okay, good,
from their
good.
Vespers
Yeah.
Vespers
Yeah,
program.
yeah.
And we've got a bass and a keyboard drummer coming in for the cocktail hour.
We have so much great music in
Oh,
the area.
it's just
This is
wonderful.
a
my God.
great
It is
area
great.
for music. It
Yeah.
is.
And we've brought in two really dynamic speakers. They're coming in. Reverend Jim Miller is coming in from Rhode Island,
Okay.
and Reverend Bob Pierce is coming in from Pennsylvania. And they were the early leaders of Sikkim 50 years ago.
Is that
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah, Jim Miller was in that founding
So they
four
lived here
churches.
for a while.
Yeah, he
Oh,
was the
but-
Emmanuel Baptist pastor, and it's now Emmanuel
I'm
Friedens.
glad you found them.
Oh, he was
Yeah.
so excited
Yeah.
to come back because he was on that first steering board. She's on the steering, and helped put the shape around Sikkim coming to Schenectady. And then Bob Pierce was the original, a really strong leader as our first urban agent, whereas Reverend Grigsby is now the executive director. So both of those speakers
Well, it
are
all
coming.
and it all came out of a vision with, I think, 4 churches
Yeah.
that saw a need. Now, we're talking 50 years ago, and it's amazing we're still talking about the same
Yeah.
kinds of needs.
And
I
there were
mean,
two
I mean,
black
they don't
churches,
go
2
away,
white
do they?
churches.
No, they don't seem to.
No, so those 4 churches, which were Emmanuel Baptist Church, now Emmanuel Friedens, First United Methodist, which she's a member of, and Duryea, and Friendship Baptist. Those 4 churches saw a need to address social
But
services.
not only did they see it,
They made it
They
happen.
made it happen.
They did.
They made it happen.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to just sit and talk about, somebody should do. These folks
don't you love
did.
that when they go, I have a great idea. Why don't it's ideas are cheap.
Amen. Yes.
Action is
They're
important.
very cheap.
It's the action that
It's
makes
the action that's
yeah.
a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
But they acted, and
Right.
and you have Sycam is doing so much. They have that lunch program. They have the food pantry.
Food pantry.
They've got
Diversity program.
diversity
They
program.
have the summer lunch program for kids that wouldn't have lunch if they
Right,
didn't have that
right.
program. Yeah, it's Sycam has come a long way, and Sycam has also served as an umbrella agency for other
They've
small
gotten bigger,
agencies that, in the beginning, they needed that kind of help,
Boost.
and then they just went on off and sailed into their own. And I think of Damien Center as being
Yeah.
one of those.
which is the
agencies.
AIDS, yeah, which that's a
HIV
wonderful
program, yeah.
organization.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're still doing it today. We're still taking on new risks and new social action projects and helping put shape around those programs.
Well, I know when Reverend Grigsby was on last time, we talked about the food, pantry, and,
Yes.
and I said, I don't understand. I mean, I'm just being a devil's advocate here. I'm saying I don't understand because they get food stamps, and he says food stamps do not
Doesn't
cover.
stretch it.
They don't.
They said it
do
only
They
covers
don't.
about 16
Yeah,
days. Is
yeah,
that right?
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
That-
Which I mean, that was the audience. Our viewers probably
And
doesn't.
I would
didn't
really
know
like
that.
to see those legislators even live on that
Oh,
allotment.
they can't live on $174,000 a year.
Thank you, thank you.
Right.
Thank
I mean,
you.
that is a tough amount to live on.
It is. It is. I
What can
feel-
I say? And I'm
feel-
not trying to be
I
political,
feel
but
their
please,
pain.
yeah. But please don't.
Well,
You're talking to the wrong
Sycam
Moving
people.
right
talks
along.
about social action.
Yeah.
We care about social
Yeah,
action.
we do
so-
care
We do.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do.
And it's important that be celebrated
Yeah.
at this event. It's so
So,
important.
so you're going to have this event, and this is it's going to serve as also as a fundraiser, right?
Yes, it is a
Yes,
fundraiser
yes.
to support all
And a
of the Sycam programs.
fundraiser also.
A
Fundraiser.
fundraiser, yes. And tell me, how does Sycam get funded? Because this is, we're doing fundraiser, but how else? Because you do have all these fabulous, wonderful programs.
Well, it's funded by community persons, by churches, and also we do get some state and federal funding, which
Grants.
at times is difficult because that creates sometimes cash flow problems because while they do fund, they're not quick at making sure that
Yeah.
the money's there. But so it's a combination of funding.
And we also count on that wonderful church support. We have
Yes.
51 church member organizations.
You started out with
And,
4 churches.
Yeah, we started
Yep.
out with 4. We're at 51, and actually at the 50th, we're going to announce 2 new members. It's a surprise. You'll have to come and find out what
Okay,
churches are coming on.
Well, every church should be involved,
just
and every
wonderful.
organization
Well, a lot of them
is,
are,
yeah. No,
Especially with that summer lunch program, because we have 1,200 volunteers.
Yes.
That's amazing,
Yes,
isn't
yes.
it? And you're going
they're
to be on
all
the show
over
to talk about
Yeah.
that.
We're all over the county for that program, and it's
yeah.
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have your speaker. I'm sure that Reverend Grigsby will be there too,
Yeah,
saying a
we're
few
kind of
words.
breaking it up into 3 segments.
Okay.
You got the history, where our key speakers are coming in. Phil will be talking, Reverend Grigsby will be talking about the current services, what we do, and saying thank you for coming. We've got already a lot of reservations.
That's wonderful. Well, you
So-
should. I'm sure that if people don't get their reservation quickly,
Yeah, it could
there
fill right
probably
up.
could fill up because they only
Yes.
hold 360.
That's
I
right,
think
that's
there.
right.
So let's one more time. It's at the Glenn Sanders Mansion on Tuesday, March 20th. If you have been affected in any way by Sycam, by Schenectady Inner City Ministry, maybe you needed that help at one time. Maybe you're a volunteer. Whatever you are, get your ticket, go there, support them, and give them a big round of applause for 50 years and going strong.
Oh, we are. We are.
Yeah, there it is.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
See, I mean, you're getting that
Yeah,
support, so we
yeah.
need people to get out there and enjoy that wonderful
Well, it's
event.
scary for me because I remember when Bob Pierce came here, and I remember when this was first getting kicked off, and Bob Pierce was an amazing, amazing person.
So he's going to be a good speaker.
Oh,
Yes, he's gonna be
Both
wonderful.
of those gentlemen will
Yeah,
be
he's
wonderful
gonna be
speakers.
wonderful.
And then we got a nice future surprise coming in.
Yep.
Not telling.
I'm not telling. Gotta
You
come
gotta
to
go.
the
You
event.
gotta go.
Gotta
See,
come.
this
You
is-
gotta. You want to
This
know
is
the rest.
carrot hanging out here.
You want to know the rest. You gotta
You
come.
gotta
and
come
do
to
it.
the
There's
event.
the carrot. Okay,
But
good.
we're really excited. We really are.
I'm
And
so excited.
A lot of real planning has gone into this, and
You're on the
and,
steering committee.
Well,
is.
yeah,
She's
I'm
on
the
the
past
board.
president.
Yeah.
of
I
the
know you
board.
are. Yeah, I know you
and
YWC. Yeah,
well,
she
a
does
couple
it
of
all.
little things
Yeah,
here and there.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
couple.
But I want to thank you both
Thank
for
you.
being
Thank
here
you
because
for having
this
us.
is such an exciting momentous occasion, 50 years. How exciting.
Yep.
Please give Reverend Grigsby a
we
big
will.
hey there for
we
me.
will,
from
we
me.
will.
Good.
He sends his hello.
I'm sure he's such a great guy.
He is.
So thank you both for being here.
Well,
and when
thank
we
you.
come back, we're going to be hearing from our band again.
Yeah, it's so
Cool.
exciting.
Good.
Thank you for having us.
Watch our break, and we're going to come back with the Derek Horton and the J Street Band, and they're going to take it away right away. Thank you.
And revenue that patrolled the west coast up and down the Alaskan territory and the Yukon territory. At the time, the ship was in Boston and made preparations for a snowmobile to be put on board on the stern of the ship, and a seaplane that he had taken with Ashley Snow as the chief pilot. Ashley Snow took him around Antarctica after we got to Antarctica.
And here we are back again, and we got Derek Horton and the J Street Band with us. But first of all, I'm going to tell you who's coming up next week, because I don't want to interrupt these guys. Once they get started, they are on a roll. Is that rock and roll? I'm not sure. But anyway, we're going to be talking next week with the Colony Senior Service Centers. We're going to be talking about Proctor's Historical, about the Anderson Collection. We're going to be talking with Jewish Community Center, and you know, if you forgot your fitness thing, they've got a great fitness program. We're also going to be hearing from another band called Completely Different, and that's with Roberta Vega. And they're a great band as well. And then we're going to find out about those dumb old taxes again. But anyway, I'm going to give it over to you, and you're going to take the whole show out. How's that? Good.
That sounds
and what are you going to
great.
play?
Oh, where are we going to play?
What are you going to play now?
Oh, yeah. Our next number is going to be Just My Imagination.
Okay, well, I'm going to imagine this. So
And we want to invite everyone to keep updated on going to hdhentertainment.com or go to Derek Horton and the J Street Band on Facebook, and certainly follow us, and just continue to realize that, hey, we're bringing a lot of soul and funk to this region. But now I tell you, one of the beautiful things about relationships is that you start off with so many wonderful things. This is the person you want to keep things going with, and you find out at the end of the day, it's just your imagination. Each day through my window, I watch her as she passes by. I say to myself, you're such a lucky guy to have a girl like her. It's truly a dream come true. Out of all the fellas in the world, she belongs to you. But it was just my imagination running away with me. It was just my imagination running away. in the country with 2 children, maybe 3. I'm telling you, I can visualize it all. This couldn't be a dream for to really it all seems. But it was just my imagination once again, run away with me. It was just my imagination running away with me. Professor, take it over. Every night on my knees I pray, dear Lord, hear my plea. Don't ever let another take a love from me, or I will surely die. Ooh, heavenly, as her arms enfold me, I hear a tender rhapsody. But in reality, she doesn't even know me. Ooh, once again, run away with me. It was just my imagination running away with me. It was just my imagination once again, run away with me. It was just my imagination running away with me. Ooh. Thank you. Thank you. You know, in relationships, sometimes they can be rough, sometimes they can be tough, but really, we just like it easy. I know it sounds funny, but I just can't stand the pain. Girl, I'm leaving you tomorrow. Seems to me, girl, you know I've done all I can. Well, I begged, stole, and I borrowed. Well, ooh, that's why I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. Well, I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. Why in the world anybody put chains on me? Well, I paid my dues to make it. Everybody wants me to be what they want me to be. I'm not happy when I try to fake it. Well, well, well.